Hello, and welcome to the Empowered Couples Podcast, where here you get modern, non boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman, and today I'll bring you this solo episode about double standards in marriage and when it feels like the rules are different for you versus your partner. Now, I want to do this by myself because this is an experience that I'm having. Now, I'm not going to be calling Jocelyn out here. We already talked about me doing this podcast, but it is in particular a frustrating experience that I have at times and that I've heard from men even a few times this week. So, this double standard is frustrating because, especially for men, when we are being asked to make a change or keep to a certain agreement, that when we do it and then the roles are reversed, the standard is not the same. And I've personally had this experience. And in the conflict cycle, which is a principle we teach in our private coaching, we know that a subject is not always the source of the conflict. That a conflict cycle happens because a core fear or emotion comes up, and then we react from that. And I've noticed for myself where we'll have, Jocelyn and I, that is, have a situation in which she has asked me in particular to be or do something given that situation. When the roles are then reversed and I perceive that she's not doing what she asked me to do, I feel this feeling of, man, this is unfair and this is unbalanced. And it's that emotion that puts me into my reactive actions, which would be like to coach her, to tell her, this is what you aren't doing right. You could have done this better. And all of that kind of coaching then gets us into our conflict cycle. She has her own side, but I've noticed that that comes up for me. But I've also, again, heard from a few men this week that they feel this same double standard. So I've got a couple examples here. So the double standard for men, and this is really how I experience it as well, is that women expect us to be more emotionally intelligent and attuned. And that would mean in moments where our female counterparts have emotion coming up, that we pause our own reactions, that we play the listener role, that we seek to understand the upset and not put our own unmet need or our own upset about this on top of theirs. And we've talked about this being a way that you can hijack a conversation. But yet, when men in a non reactive way share a frustration or an unmet need with our women counterparts, they do not reciprocate this same standard. They will put their own need on top of theirs. Or the conversation then devolves about, say, our tone or our wrong timing or more frustration, that bringing this up at all is now changing the state when they, and I could be saying Jocelyn as well, when our female counterparts were having a great day, why did you have to bring this up? Now they're upset that we proactively and in a very calm way brought up something we needed to share. And that feels like a double standard. Why, when you ask me to hear you out, do you not do the same thing? And I'm bringing this up. This is my conversation. And now you're hijacking this or making me at fault for you having a bad day. How is this a standard that cannot be kept from both of us? And when that happens, that's going to escalate the situation into a bigger conflict. Now, this next part, I do have an example of a double standard that women feel. Again, not my personal experience. How could it be? But this is what I've heard from other women in our coaching. Men want women to change their emotional state quickly and not linger on emotions when a topic was, say, logic based or was about functioning or task management, or even in a conflict that we just want our female counterparts to move past it quickly. Don't make this into a big thing. Now, turn those roles around, and our counterparts bring up a more logical conversation Or even when we get some feedback, we then get upset, get stuck in the emotion, pull away from them, disengage, and are not able to bounce back quickly, which is what we are asking our counterparts to do. So there are two examples. And I do believe that this double standard, though not maybe the most common reason for conflicts or upsets, I do feel is a pretty prominent dynamic that can happen. So, keeping this episode shorter, I want to just give three particular things to do around these experiences of a double standard. And the first part is to not focus on what's fair or unfair and focus on your own expressed need being met or not. So I know that might sound like a long point, but the point of it here is what you're asking for something that's been clearly expressed, or in this moment when your partner is bringing up something, are you being reactive to the feeling of it being unfair and not that there's an actual double standard of, call it, agreements? And this is something to really pay attention to because it's almost like you're getting into a fight because there was something else that you're upset by. And though I might say, oh, this is a double standard, it's like, well, did you ask for that? So going back to my example, let's say that one partner had asked the other, hey, when there's a little bit of emotion, it's not something we need to be fully repaired from. Can we just bounce back quickly? Can we not have this ruin our day? Now, that might be something that one partner asked of the other, but that might not be important to me. Jocelyn might be asking that of me. So now, when it comes to a situation where she's saying, you didn't bounce back, well, I'm like, well, you don't either. So I didn't specifically ask her to bounce back quickly. Now I'm just battling her because I just want things to be quote unquote fair. So it really is about, am I battling this feeling of a double standard that's unfair, or am I paying attention to, is my partner following through on something I've asked them to change or do? So that's the first part. The second part of the double standard being to call out the double standard if you both have established that this is something important to both of you, but you can do this without, say, weaponizing it. So it really does come down to a reminder to each other in these moments that, hey, this isn't something that we're just battling for because we want the feeling of fairness, but we've both agreed in the past that bouncing back more quickly from a simple logic conversation or a simple feedback, we don't want that to ruin our day. Can we just bounce back? And you both have said, you know what? That's going to be beneficial for our relationship. Let's both agree to that. Now, when you get into the next situation and it feels like your partner is now holding up on their end, you can remind them. So it's not that you're going to put them down and criticize them. Hey, this is a double standard. Why don't you do this for me? Hey, partner, this is just a reminder. I know we both said we wanted to be able to bounce back quickly, and that is something that we both agreed on. Can we do that now? So that would be a way to implement now an equal balance of an agreement that you both have previously agreed to. So the third piece here is to not keep score, focus on progress. Now, in the beginning, as you identify these places where you both have something that you want your partner to change, there might be a double standard there. So you both make the agreement. Now, it's not going to be helpful if you start keeping score on who's doing this better. Also, you're going to want to offer grace in the beginning that your partner and yourself are not going to be 100% perfect at the very next situation. So there does need to be an allowance for, is progress being made? So long as we're not keeping score, that I'm not tallying this up, because then once I get into a place of tension, then I say, well, this is a standard that you don't keep. I've done it 5 times, you've done it 0. That's just going to get you more into the conflict. In those moments, again, you can remind, hey, this is an agreement. I really want to keep that progress going. I've seen us both do it, but I think we both can be more consistent with it. So it's a reminder, there's grace, and you're focusing on progress, not necessarily perfection. So I want to keep this episode short. Double standards, again, I feel are situations and dynamics that do cause more conflicts. So again, with these 3 things, if you can identify that, so long as I'm not fighting for fairness, is this something I've asked my partner to implement? Second, then, I can call out the double standard so long as it's a reminder that we both have this as an agreement, but I don't need to weaponize it. I don't need to put them down. And lastly, I don't need to keep score. I can focus on progress and we can move forward on this together. And now, as I close out here, I do want to remind that another source of this kind of dynamic could be as simple as your love accounts being low. And we have July about to start, and we'll have the next round of our 30-day Prioritize Us Couples Challenge starting on the 1st. And this challenge is 30 days of emails, almost like we're coaching you directly, but we're going to send you 30 consecutive days of emails about communication tips, prompts, and love account examples that each of you can do every single day. And by building this up over 30 days, you will build up your feeling of the love account. This is how loved and connected you feel. Because oftentimes you'll find that you might be calling out a dynamic about a double standard or small things turning big, primarily because both of your love accounts feel really low. And so to really address this, which is quite simple, is just to take on this challenge. In the show notes, you'll see you can go to mycoupleschallenge.com. You can see all the details, get yourself registered. The investment is only $1 per day, and it's so worth it. You can see the 40,000 people that have taken this challenge, all the testimonials, and they all say our love account literally is higher. And one of the benefits of having a high love account is that your tolerance and your grace is so much higher. And you don't get stuck in these smaller little tensions or feeling like things are double standards, because here you are talking to a human, your partner, one that has shown and demonstrated how much they love and connect you very often. And that by itself can allow you to have grace, allow for mistakes, and more quickly move forward. So I've loved having this conversation with you all. Invite you to go check out that challenge. It'll be starting here on the 1st of the month. And so once again, if you get a lot of value from this, we love a review. Hopefully you feel it's 5 stars. And we really appreciate you all as listeners. We'll catch you on the next episode.